Welcome to the Towers Underground podcast, starring Brandon White,
Brian Ferguson,
and Richard Nixon. Arr.
Special guest appearance by former President Richard Milhouse Nixon.
I'm really
37th President of the United States of America.
I'm really glad that you put the middle name in there, because if you didn't, I was going to.
Yeah, no, I got this.
Thanks.
I'm reading your mind via your penis.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I do what I can.
All right, I've tapped that voice out.
Welcome to episode 1 of What Are We Talking About Now Live?
What are we talking about now?
I don't know. So Thackeray and I know for sure, have been doing effectively the same thing for the past week, and that is watching Matt Groening cartoons with the audio commentary on. I have gone through seasons 7 through 9 of The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far you've gotten.
Season 1 through 4, and then since they count the movies, they split them up and count them as 16 episodes because they split them in 4 episodes per movie.
Yeah.
For season 5, I'm a fourth of the way through season 5 now since we've watched Bender's Big Score.
Okay.
So more than halfway through the actual entirety of Futurama.
And I have done not those things.
That's true. You have done not those things.
I mean, I don't know for sure until you just said it right then. I wasn't assuming. We could all be doing the same thing.
I have
essentially
basically just played Final Fantasy 15, consumed beer, and listened to music, and that's been pretty much my week.
I bought a bunch of comics, and I've read 0 of them thus far.
So we've read the same amount of comics this week.
Yeah.
Damn.
The comic book covers look
I
really
finally
cool.
pulled even with you.
The wife got issue number 1 of the new Hawkeye run with the hip-hop cover, and it's pretty dope.
That was me throwing my voice right there. I knew it was Hawkeye. I was saying it was Hawkeye while I was drinking
I did
water.
read the first few pages of the new Hawkeye run, and I will say that I really like the art direction. It harkens back to the Fraction run. It really feels more like that than the run that came after that. So I'm excited to read it. I think it's going to be great.
I think from now on I'm going to refer to the Fraction run as 3/5 a hero.
I'm trying to think of which 3/5.
The knees.
I don't appreciate these slavery references, by the way.
I was just saying 3/5 of that run was
No,
actual Hawkeye.
3/5. I know you well enough to know that 3/5 is always a slavery reference to you.
It was 3/5 was Clint Barton.
I go 5/8 Clint Barton. We'd have to actually split it up and look at it, but I feel like it was a little bit more than 3/5. Although 5/8 is less than 3/5.
It's 21 issues. No,
When I'm really thinking about it like that.
it's 22 issues. 23 if you count the annual.
5/8 is more than 3/5.
Shut up.
And
Shut your damn mouth.
3 or 4 issues focus solely on Kate.
Yeah, the bad ones.
I don't think they're bad.
No,
I
you're
I
wrong.
Like them. But I mean, I like Clint better, so I do like the Clint story more.
I was looking through your list, or like your stack that you had, and I saw that one and spent less time looking at that one than the other ones because I saw her face.
Do you not like Kate Bishop? No? That's weird, because a lot of the people that I know who never were a fan of Hawkeye but kind of got it later really, really like Kate.
I mean, she's alright.
Anybody who's been a fan of the Hawkeye comics for a long time now tend to really not like Kate.
I also have really weird opinions on things.
That's true. That's true. I'll give you that.
Almost for a contrarian standpoint.
Yeah, I think you do it on purpose.
You'll never know.
I have a hunch.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident of that too, actually. Had to think about it for a second.
You're
Also,
like,
Based
of
on-
course, it's to be contrary.
based on Brian's rough estimate, 73% of that run was Clint Barton, which is more than 3/5. So
Yeah,
I apologize for my bad math,
thanks.
but 3/5 is still, in fact, a fraction.
It is,
going-
and it's also a fun number to say and tied to really awful things.
Later, I'm going to find the actual audio file for this somehow and cut out just the I apologize part for Brandon and then just listen to it over and over
Just
and over.
it'll be your text message notification.
Yeah.
Every time your phone goes off, it's me saying, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Today I learned Thackeray wants to be in a long-term relationship with me.
No. No, it's just for my own sake.
Yeah, it's just from a friendship point of view.
So whenever something happens, I can just, click that and be like, friendship mended.
If that's all it took, I would just say I'm sorry to you whether I meant it or not.
And that's why you don't believe in sorries.
Yeah.
Because you're a terrible person.
How do you feel about the board game? Sorry.
Yeah, which one's that?
The shapes of the pieces really piss me off.
What?
Yeah.
They're generic. It's just generic pieces.
I know, I don't like them.
Way to have a Thackeray opinion on something.
I don't like the shape of the pieces.
Those pieces piss me off. Why? Because! Alright, thanks for that.
They're too boring.
I mean,
They're too plastic.
if you ask me my opinion on Chutes and Ladders, I'll tell you it's a game that you're supposed to play with children so you can fucking win easily every time.
I mean,
We'll cut out fuck and children and put them together.
no. Don't fuck kids.
Oh, no, I mean, he didn't say it. I'm just going to splice them together. So he says
Still not okay.
I didn't say it was okay. I just said it's happening.
I feel like Thackeray's going to open a child pornography like film company and call it like Nittany Lionsgate.
Work hard for my child porn. So, nobody can have it for free.
And the defense rests.
You're right. Everything, mostly the mic checks, but everything we record is some way to blackmail you, I feel like.
Yeah.
For the record, Towers Underground Media does not condone, endorse, or do anything with child pornography.
I strongly
On the books.
Brian is so uncomfortable right now. I'm not even the one that's talking about hurting children the most tonight. That's the
Brian
funniest
keeps
damn thing.
Brian keeps mouthing yes. And I don't know why.
No.
He's like taking a drink and mouthing yes, and I'm like, Brian, why?
No, I don't
like,
think
I'll
He's
give
working
you
on throwing his voice too.
I'll give you the link later, just
Not on.
not on the Wi-Fi.
No.
They can track it.
No.
You horn dog, you. Fuck.
Oh my god. This I can't stop fucking laughing. Brian's face was priceless. Oh my god. Welcome to episode 1 of 25 to Life.
No, first off, that's my joke. And second off, no, Thackeray. Hard no.
Brian Ferguson does not condone child pornography
That's true. He does not.
on a camera or mic.
No. Off mic also.
Off mic. He's
Brandon
a
White
raging
does
porno
not-
fanatic.
Brandon White does not endorse child pornography either. I'd much rather you punch children in the face. That's more entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Loves the puss more than Clinton. Jeez. I hope my voices are terrible.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Come out on mic. Awful.
I have a feeling this episode's going to go live this week, and not even 5 minutes later, he's going to get a knock on his door.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Turns
So-
out I don't have a door, so fuck both of you.
In other news,
He just melds through the wall and into his house.
the official Towers Underground podcast is now looking for a third host.
We're going to have to replace Thackeray after he gets brought up on some kind of charges.
Well, we know what kind of charges.
Some kind of charges.
Allegedly.
Don't worry, I can call in. It's fine. It's fine. They have phones there. Right? Right?
Yeah, I have to take my MacBook
Right, guys?
to a federal prison. Do you know how much of a pain in the ass that's going to be?
Your MacBook.
Yeah.
Why would you take it there?
Because it'd be easier to get you over one of those phones through the glass so that you can talk for an extended period of time. I think actual phone calls, you're limited to a very specific, short amount of time.
Like, Thackeray, your voice sounds horrible. Making it louder doesn't help. No, that's not helping.
Whenever I decide to record an album and I need a kazoo on it, I'm just going to talk to you when you're in prison.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than 30 cents that it would cost to get a kazoo.
I'm still so incredibly pleased with how uncomfortable Ryan looked in that moment. That was amazing.
I'm still not happy about this.
If we're gonna make somebody uncomfortable, it's not
It's going to be me.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend here.
Man. I don't even that should have been the end of the episode. I feel like I should just cut this and put it at the end.
Good.
Because
No.
it's hard to top that.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, lawsuit.
Good morning, sunshine.
what'd you say, 4 days? 5 days until the inauguration.
For 4 days.
4:05.
I had different days off this week. I have no idea what today's date is, to be completely honest with everybody.
One day throws Brian off completely of his schedule, and he's just like, I have no idea.
Happens
It
to
could
me
be
all the
March
time.
for all I know.
Could be.
The inauguration happened 2 months ago.
What?
I mean, we could actually post the episode 2 months from now, and that would
could.
be true.
This could be a joke episode. We could just hold this one until we don't need Thackeray anymore.
As in 1 week from now.
Send all applications to
Thackeray at
Brandon@towersunderground.com. If you're going to use a dick pic to apply, send it to Thackeray at towersunderground.com.
I'm going to forward that. to
No
the
child anything
No.
to anybody.
I don't even want to hear about your kids. Fuck your kids.
No.
Yes.
No. Don't fuck kids. Seriously.
I mean,
Nope. No. Not even that much.
2 weeks of syndication, and Thackeray's going to get us thrown off of every major podcast network.
We're going to get really awkward emails from Apple
Yeah.
fairies. And
so I've been following a lot on the Affordable Care Act.
Yep.
And a lot of talk to repeal it. Obviously, the Republicans have been screaming about it. Or not, I won't say the Republicans, the right, the political right, has been screaming about trying to repeal it and how it's been bad. And I currently am not signed up for it, so this isn't for or an against, but I think it's comically crazy that they don't have a plan
No.
to repeal it.
They don't.
Like, you've got 7 years. You would think there would be some sort of formulated plan.
all they're saying is open it up for state borders so that you can buy insurance from other states.
But that's literally that'd be like a slight change. Like, they're talking, I feel like I don't understand what they're really.
So the idea behind that is that it would force competition across state lines, but the problem is that every different state has different regulations on how insurance has to be serviced.
I feel like
Serviced.
opening it up really wouldn't be that big of a deal.
No,
Like, I
I mean, you
wouldn't
still
buy
give the
open-
power to the insurance companies, and the insurance companies are not in the business of making less money.
I still think that if you just rein in pharmaceutical companies and corporate hospitals, you don't have to make such a big deal out of the insurance itself.
Yeah, but that
because-
guy wouldn't be able to buy all those cool Wu-Tang records.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, we don't want that to stop, do we?
He's got more Wu-Tang records than me.
I think he got hit with a literal pile of shit today or this week.
No shit.
Yeah, I saw that somebody
No, it was a pile.
threw fecal matter at him
That's exciting.
while he was in public.
Was Monkey?
Was he standing in front of Qualcomm Stadium?
Yes. No. Los Angeles. I don't know. Hopefully.
I don't know.
Go Charge Go.
Also, he's been banned from Twitter, or at least blocked or silenced from Twitter.
How the fuck can he be blocked from Twitter and Donald Trump isn't?
Donald Trump is the United States of America.
I think that made me more uncomfortable than the jokes you made earlier.
He
Lord.
is the United States of America.
I think that he was sending like harassing messages to somebody, like sexual things, like you should date me, kind of. You know our cringe
children?
or our cringe pics,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
Exciting.
Yeah, it was great.
What's our cringe pics?
Basically, it takes like those really creepy stalker guys through like text message and Tinder and other forms of social media, and it's screen caps of that.
Ooh.
Yeah. Thackeray's sitting there realizing he has to search for himself on a subreddit now.
Like, have you ever seen the like stuff on Facebook or on Reddit where it's like a guy sends the message to a girl and then like it gets super weird and then she just stops responding and then you get like 30 more messages eventually leading to like the guy calling the girl a slut and a terrible person.
Shout out, you know who?
This sounds vaguely familiar to me.
Yeah, it's exactly, or that's the whole subreddit, but it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite places to spend time.
You're a horrible person.
I really like.
Berating women?
No. I think that's terrible.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, for the record.
He's such a pro that he's a green beret.
Here it is. 2 days ago on Esquire.com, a protester pelted Martin Shkreli with dog poop. Not all heroes wear capes is the subtext.
I feel like he's becoming a vampire. Every time I see pictures of him, he's getting whiter and whiter.
The worst part about it, though, is
Can you evolve into
we're
vampirism?
making this guy so much more famous and so much more known. Like, if
We have
people just...
no followers. We're not affecting this at all.
No. I say we as a society.
Oh, yeah.
We as the social media.
But I mean, something where the thing is that this is the kind of person who would have never been in the mainstream before, but really needs to be, because this is really an example of corporate greed at its worst. So I think it's kind of a good thing that somebody like this is being brought up into a more public eye, because I think that it has the potential to lead to real change.
I feel like one of these days we're going to wake up and find out that he bought the rights to Sunshine.
Man,
That would be sad.
that would help him become more pale, for sure. That is totally a possibility now that I'm thinking about it.
Right?
I don't.
Evolution into vampirism. That's girly dude.
Technically, that is evolution.
What?
Becoming a vampire.
Yeah, but I mean like natural evolution, not like, you get bit and then like your genetic code is rewritten by vampire saliva. I'm assuming it's never really explained all that well.
I always assumed that it was kind of like a... Actually, I don't know, like a prion maybe? Because it would have to be something that would live inside your body to create that change. It couldn't be a virus, it couldn't really be a bacteria. Well, I mean, a bacteria would be living in your body, but I'm talking like an actual, like...
Are you talking about like some kind of a flesh-eating or like some kind of the mind control viruses?
Yeah, so some kind of weird infection. You could get like a parasite or something, maybe.
Yeah, parasite was the word that I was looking for. Sorry, like the ones who burrow into like wasp brains and then force them to act weird, and then it.
To have them dance the Charleston.
Yeah, specifically the Charleston.
I don't like this.
Do you not like the
love
Charleston?
I don't like how I've never seen this.
Oh no, it doesn't. You know what? Never mind.
He's searching late at night. Wasps dancing Charleston. Why can't I find it? Why can't I find it? Oh, Jesus. I've been playing more BioShock. I mean, I've already played the game before, so there's nothing new to report. I just really like the series. I think it's fantastic.
It is. It's really, really good. I accidentally went onto the alt-right subreddit earlier today.
Nice.
And
isn't that just called left?
And apparently, it's very unpopular to like the game BioShock in that subreddit.
Really?
Yeah, because it promotes crossbreeding, and these are not my words, by the way. This is very, very important to mention.
I mean, you're saying them.
Yeah, but it's like not my thoughts. And
But-
also, like,
These aren't his words. He's just trying to be a voice for them.
Oh!
we've mentioned it before.
Limbo.
I think the concept of the game BioShock is that libertarianism doesn't work and that it brings up the worst, or it brings out the worst in people. If you didn't know this, then I don't know, Google it.
I thought it was that utter free will is bad.
If you need to know how to Google something, just search for it on Yahoo.
Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much how if your only purpose is to serve yourself, then you're going to, or then you sacrifice your own humanity.
Yeah.
And they don't like that, turns out. This is a group that is, like, openly racist.
So what's the difference between alt-right and, like, I don't know, regular right?
Are we talking, like, regular conservatism versus alt-right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that subreddit. Like, what distinguishes that as a different subreddit that deserves its own area for talking?
So alt-right
and
is
discussions.
alt-right is a newer movement, and it seems to have a larger focus
Is this
on...
the Tea Party stuff?
No, this
Okay.
is, like...
Is this post-Tea Party?
So, like,
Pre-Tea Party?
let's say you have conservatism at, like, kind of middle. Let's just say that it's, like, tier 1, where basically the concept is the free market rules, and you should not use regulation to pick and choose winners and losers. And then you have the Tea Party, which kind of takes that a step further, basically going towards libertarianism and also, like, angry white people. And then you have the alt-right, which is one of the few... It's one of the few moments where you have, like, very, very, very strict social conservatism mixed in with... you can... almost considered or libertarianism mixed with like anarcho-capitalism, where it's basically that the government has no real good uses, and also intermarrying between or mixed race couples are bad and things like that. Basically, it's going towards like white nationalism. Yeah, real scary stuff. It's genuinely frightening to somebody like me who is, what's the word I'm looking for?
A white male.
Jewish.
Yeah. Oh.
I was going to say Jewish.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like I am.
The idea is that
Most days.
they don't think that it's racism because it's not anti-minority, it's just pro-white.
Do you consider
Once
yourself
again-
a nationalist?
No,
Perspective.
I think that nationalism is really bad.
Do you consider yourself a socialist?
Mostly, yeah. But
Okay.
nationalism, I think, is a harmful thing.
So you're just Nazi?
No.
Was that
Bad
a play on
Brandon.
words?
That was a bad play on words.
It was
Okay.
a clever play on words.
I feel like all you're doing is sitting in the background and throwing poor puns and shit.
That's what he does.
That's my function at this point.
He also checks to make sure the levels are okay.
Yeah. At this point, I just make sure the audio's good and make sure that you don't say anything that's going to get the FBI to beat down our doors. Too fucking late on that one, might I add. And
It's a joke, for fuck's sake. God.
you know there's going to be that one person out there that's on, like, fucking iTunes looking for podcasts, and they're going to be like, oh, this sounds delightful, and they're going to listen to it and be like, oh. And they're
Don't
just,
tag it child porn.
and then they're going to hit the button on their keyboard that says van.
Just looking through iTunes. Why does this tag even exist?
Yeah, like somehow they type that in magically and our stuff comes up magically. That is our webmaster's fault magically.
Damn, Chris Hansen, lay off.
Chris
Anyway.
Hansen was busted cheating on his wife once upon a time.
That
in
was
case
on
anybody-
Reddit.
I know. I remember when it happened and then forgot about it because Chris Hansen's a fucking whatever.
I think the FBI would be like the
I don't know,
third
man.
or fourth agency to be beating down anybody's doors in this specific situation. MSNBC would be one,
I think that there's a
followed closely by
big
the
difference
NSA.
between the people that he was catching and what he was doing. Mind you, don't
Do we ever,
cheat on people. That's one thing. But
Or
like,
in Monopoly.
cheating on somebody versus like hurting or manipulating children are two very different things and should not be.
If you do them together, though, they cancel out. They're like offsetting penalties.
No.
So, in the end, do it in pairs of twos is what I'm hearing
No.
and or postulating.
No. In this case,
What do you call that? A private spot fell?
Dang,
No,
that was a good one.
no. This is very important. In this case, two wrongs make life in prison.
What if you have a really good
Judiciously,
lawyer?
that's only two strikes.
No, you only need the one that time.
I like Brian's new function on this, keeping us out of legal trouble. That's that Jew blood kicking in for sure.
That's offensive.
And we can say that on the air. Apparently.
That's the irony of all
Allegedly.
of this. Is we could sit here and say things that are, casually racist or anti-Semitic nonstop, but if you make one joke about one thing, somebody somewhere is going to flip the entire fuck out about it, in spite of everything else being totally okay.
I'm totally fine with making fun of anybody, but I am like hurting children is one of the things. Hurting children and animals really, really bugs me. Just the idea of like, if you're an adult,
You've been doing
You're
this
barking.
podcast with me for how long? And almost every single episode has featured me saying some awful thing about children.
that's true. No, I don't care if you don't like kids, but like causing them actual bodily harm or really serious mental harm is not good. It's not
So as
okay.
long as it's something that can bounce back after a few minutes.
Yeah,
it's
man.
okay.
Like if you push them down, they'll be fine.
Or give them a lobotomy afterwards.
You need like a serious lobotomy there.
I need
Depends
you
on
to
how big the...
always say the word serious with that exact inflection.
Oh, I can't do that again.
Damn it, we blew it this one time. This was the one. This is where
Check
we
the
used it.
levels.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to find that and I'm gonna edit it out. And anytime you say serious, from now on, I'm just gonna cut that in over top
Cut
of
it
it.
in.
I think Brandon was starting to rail against the amount of outrage that it's okay to have on just in life in general, but then we kind of floated back. I don't know. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Okay.
are we
I
talking
was
about?
following you've said this before. I don't know if it was on air or just between us talking, but the amount of outrage that it's seemingly okay to have over basically anything,
Oh, we live in an outrage culture.
where like
We feed on it.
we can cut like a 2-second clip and then be outraged about that and then not really hear the rest or the context of what that person had
Yeah.
to say and or do and or feel or whatever, and then that person gets written off and is now whatever label
Branded
that
as
you
whatever.
yeah that
A
it is.
racist or a sexist or a child abuser.
Because
or...
it's well,
No, that last part's the joke.
it's easy to just write somebody off and then have them just be away. You know, that's a racist person. Now their opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that is one of those things that I'm hyper liberal. I mention this a lot, and everybody who knows me knows this.
It's like a hyper chicken.
Yeah, exactly like that. I think that the worst thing that liberalism has done is created this PC culture, which started probably in the, I'd say, late '80s, more than likely, with or like it happened around comedy and stuff like that, and now it's
Yeah.
kind of blown up to everybody has the right to be offended, and you don't have the right to offend
I
anybody.
think we have Tipper Gore to blame for that, actually.
Yeah, definitely to a point. I mean, or it probably started around the time that that the fight against rap music and heavy metal and video games
Yeah.
was really big.
I think there's like a sliding scale or like a what's it called, a meter or something like that, and we float either to the left or to the right in terms of like social commentary on what's happening, and we floated all the way over to like we're like hitting the red area of like what's happening here. Eventually, I feel like we're gonna float back towards the middle on this. Like that's just kind of what happens is that we seem to float through the middle into like an area of equilibrium, and then it hits one extreme. And
It
then
comes back to that whole
people
thing
are
of
like,
getting
"Oh,
you. They get you used to an extreme, so that when they pull it back towards the middle, it's still well beyond what should be to begin with. But it's not the extreme you've seen it go to. Kind of like how when we were used to gas being like $1 a gallon, then it shot up to $4 a gallon, and then it fell down to like $2.50, $3, and we're like, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, we're still paying 2.5, 3 times what we did 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
But it's absurd that we're comfortable with it now just because it's not as bad as it was.
Well, I'm just saying I think it's overcorrecting. Like we're seeing.
Oh, definitely.
Like it's good to point out bad shit.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're pointing out like ridiculous shit, not really taking that into effect. So we're overcorrecting now, and I feel like eventually we're going to realize this and pull it back towards the middle. But then like that might float back towards the area which would be the left. It's not. I'm not saying political left or right here. I'm just using left and right as a means of dictation at this point. But if right is like overzealousness and pointing stuff out, then left, as you're floating back that way, would be ignoring stuff.
My big
on that end too. So it's just
concern-
overcorrecting on either end seems to be something that happens in society in a general sense, which I think is weird.
Yeah. My big concern is that in a lot, or the general rule is that whenever you give up a freedom, you don't get it back. And we're pushing away from like true freedom of speech. I think that if you are a hateful person and that's how you want to express yourself, fine. But you also are not free from consequence. So, I mean, if you want to be a racist piece of shit, fine, but you're going to be ostracized for it.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times it's easier to just rush and kind of put labels on somebody as opposed to kind of looking at the whole context of a thing.
And that's the
seeing
thing
what
that
it is.
people really just need to be comfortable with. Nobody's saying you can't have freedom of speech. Nobody's saying you can't say a certain thing or speak what's on your mind or have an opinion. But you have to accept up front, without any complaint, that what you say may make you very unlikable.
Right. And, I mean, I believe in comedy first and foremost. I mean, it's the closest thing to religion that I have. We're going to get into a moment that's never funny, and that is talking about comedy. But we get this thing where, like, everybody looks at what comedians say, and they kind of take out a clip, and then they crucify it. But the thing is that the whole point of comedy is...
Who does that? It's an act.
Huh?
It's an act.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
that in and of itself, I think, is a disclaimer. Like anything that is said in this act, like is obviously some form of entertainment.
Right. The whole point of comedy, for the most part, is to kind of point the finger at absurdities, especially in society, and say, hey, look at these dumb things that we believe.
Gotta push the boundaries somehow.
Right. I saw an interview with T.I. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on air, but it was
The rapper.
Yes, the rapper T.I. And it was absolutely fantastic. And
Oh,
he
wow.
was,
That was not what I was expecting.
no,
Were
really.
you expecting 1/13 of the alphabet?
I don't know. Maybe T.I. is like a news thingy.
It's a calculator.
But he was like, yes, the hip-hop artist. I was like, fuck. I don't have a follow-up.
Your credit score just went up and your black card limit just went down.
But wait,
For what?
yes,
I don't understand. You don't get to be making those kinds of decisions.
that's true.
On either end.
You're not TransUnion.
Oh man, I'm Experian.
Aw. So anyway, I was watching this interview with T.I. and it was fantastic. And he was talking about how like the African American community needs to like kind of is. He was talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and how why it's important that you're kind of putting a focus on this community that has been treated so wrong for so long, and that it's not something that's recent, it's something that goes back to the origins of slavery. And the person interviewing him said something along the lines of like, how can you possibly, or isn't it hypocritical of you to be talking about these kind of things and still have violence and misogyny in your music? And the point of what basically he came out and said, look, the music that I write comes from my experiences, and I'm not going, or my experiences don't change just because I'm trying to I want to see a better world. These things are still happening. These things are still real.
Yeah, it's like you can demonize T.I. in this point for either writing what he knows, which is bad stuff because that's where he grew up, or if he wants to change it, he then becomes disingenuous for writing about stuff that he doesn't know. So if you
Right.
really want to demonize somebody, just pick an angle. You can find one.
Exactly.
And I understand where you're going with this. That's utterly ridiculous. Silence.
There's a
Sorry, I was just digesting that and thinking about it in the context of what we've been talking about. And just, because I was, like, I had this little timeline that was playing out in my head while I was listening to you of,
No, not that one?
No.
Okay.
No, just...
Because that one's just crazy.
Like, I was really thinking, like, somebody would, like, if somebody listened to this episode, like, they started this one up,
Sure.
they got, like, 15 minutes in and they would just stop. They'd be like, this is fucking horrible, and they wouldn't get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they would be... Everything we say after that point, they're the
pointless.
problem.
Right.
They are the problem. Like, anybody that wouldn't make it past that to listen to this discussion, like, you know what I mean?
I think that's the problem with... If there is a one big
Because
problem with
people have
social
such
media,
a short attention span as it is anyways, that if they hear something that they don't like or offends them, they're going to turn it off without even getting the full context of it.
Yeah. So you can dictate and basically go through and silence what you don't like and basically create your own echo chamber of a social media for yourself. So to the point where you're hearing and seeing the ideas of people who think like you, and you're not getting any sort of broader horizon.
Yeah.
And that's, even though I have people who I'm friends with basically just linked with people, and it becomes a who have you known and where have you been of your life is basically what Facebook is at this point. But even though I have people whose opinions I don't necessarily agree with, I keep them there because I like to know what people are thinking and what people are saying. So I think the fact that people go through and just block anybody who you don't like because you're having a bad day or because they said one thing that's dumb or doesn't, agree with what you think, I think that's ridiculous. And
we all saw during the election cycle of people who were like, if you're going to vote for Trump or if you're going to vote for Hillary, then just delete me.
yeah, like that's...
Or like, I'm going to start deleting people and stuff like that. And it's kind of dangerous to make it so that you never experience anybody else's life. Or it's really lacking empathy, and I think that's really the dangerous part of where we're at. I think that empathy is one of the most important things.
Yeah, I mean, I see it constantly. People just make hardline statements about things without actually listening or thinking.
Yeah.
You know, in any kind of intellectual or empathetic way. Just basically say, like, if you think this, or if you feel this, or if you believe this, then you may as well be shot dead. I don't care. And you can sit there and look at those people and say, you bred with somebody, like, you have a child.
These are ideas that are being passed down to young people.
Yeah, it's like, fuck, that kid is already shitty because it's yours. I mean, that's the reality of it, because shitty people have shitty kids, unless those kids are taken away from them and raised by not shitty people.
We're seeing a generation who is like grown up to be empathetic and compassionate about people around them, and to find diversity in order to be a good thing. And now we're being like scolded about it by our parents in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to, because some people, not going to say some people don't get it, but some people just don't like understand in that sense, is that I think a lot of people our age or older have worked in a retail environment at one point or the other. Yeah. And everybody can relate with being the retail worker that comes in and gets their face melted by somebody who just, has an issue with X specific problem. And you go home and you're like, wow, this really sucks. And they're melting your face because they don't see you as a person the same way that you don't see this person, this person that you're blocking on social media or that you're disagreeing with as a person. You're just this, the person who you don't like who melted your face off. They just see you as this automaton of X large corporation. You're not a real person. If everybody just looked around and was like, yeah, like they're a person just like me, even though we may or may not come from the same area or hold the same things as precious or as ideals that we would, like, that doesn't make them any less of a person that I should respect and or care for.
I think that
from a human standpoint.
That's ultimately the key word is respect, and we just live in a society that lacks respect.
Yeah.
I don't want to say lacks
No,
respect,
I definitely think that it lacks respect in large, compared to what it has been historically. People don't respect each other. No, hear me out.
Where are you drawing the line historically? I'm not modern day America?
I'm not. Yeah, we're not going to go back like more than. We don't want to go back more than 70 years.
Okay,
on this probably. And I mean, it varies.
Right.
It varies from region to region, but I mean, people there's more of a sense of entitlement nowadays in people, at least in America, and more of people saying, I don't have to listen, I don't have to respect you, I don't have to think about more than one perspective in a situation. I just, fuck you.
I kind of disagree with that. I feel like that kind of attitude has been around forever. It's just now we can see it.
But that creates the problem because it propagates more that way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
the spread of information, to share information is so much stronger. Like, could you imagine if Twitter existed during Nazi Germany?
Brian just got really stressed out by a new idea.
I don't want to talk about it.
I rest my case.
I can only imagine the hashtags. And now I'll write them down.
I don't have to fucking imagine them. They're there.
I mean, the only thing you even have to imagine that at that point is somebody tweeting at, Adolf saying, hey man, shit's bad in Russia, we should pull back. Problem solved. Let's not even touch on all the other things that could have been much different. Hey, there are Russian soldiers marching this way. Hey, the British and Americans just landed in fucking Normandy. Nobody saw that coming.
As I was saying, I don't think that it's any better or worse than it is now. The problem is that it's not any better now versus the way it's always been. I think that humanity has a real habit of choosing tribes and kind of sticking with those tribes in a way that's kind of dangerous and kind of... We're not an inclusive species. I don't think that we're really wired to be, but the problem is that at this point in time with this much information, the idea was always to kind of make it or kind of expand your tribe out to all of humanity.
It's you're with us, you're against us. You either live a tribe or you die a tribe.
Silence!
But
God damn it.
But the problem is we put so many more people in the world so much more rapidly. but it seems like we haven't put more good people at a rate to snuff out the bad, I guess. Or the people that aren't bad aren't doing anything to stop.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about proportions, is that they're always roughly equal.
I think the social media presence, because you could go back, we're going to say, 70 years as an example, and that would put us somewhere around 1950, for example, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
And we haven't evolved much from a thinking standpoint, I think, because there's only been 3 generations, maybe, since then, 3 to 4?
Less
than that, So the people who were raised and brought up in that era are still largely in control of what's happening here. The difference is that now your group, your social group, or your site, and to see what was happening was a lot smaller.
Sure.
Now it's grown. We can see exactly what's happening around the world at any moment, at any time, any day, and that I think has brought to light a lot of different problems that we have, and we aren't wired to accept change. Aren't really all that motivated to change all that much. It takes a very long time for us as a people to move forward to that change. So I think it's a push against, we're seeing this and we should change, versus, everybody who's ever had to change anything in their life as a deal. They're just like, fuck that. No, we're not going to do that. Change is bad if it's anything, whether or not it be realized as good or not. There's some people who are obviously going to fight against it. I think that's the main.
Or I think we could institute like a eugenics program to just weed out all of these people who are
Nope.
unsavory or
Nope.
don't really fit the society that we need.
A rough draft to a solution.
Yeah, it's not final yet. But.
And welcome now to Unpopular Opinion Corner.
I'm just saying.
You got the boom mic specifically for that.
I just personally think that if there are shitty people in the world, we could.
Who decides who those shitty people are, though?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
calm down now, Logan's Run.
that in itself is a very slippery slope of thinking.
Eugenics.
This is what we were talking about the difference between dystopian sci-fi and utopian sci-fi. And the problem is, exactly.
I just did a very unsubtle, mustache point to Brandon. For everybody who can't see us, which is all of you.
I'm just saying Hitler was a great speaker.
I'm just saying the people that tell you there can't be a perfect world are the ones that want to control you and create the dystopian future that you fear.
Who dictates that perfect world? That's what I'm saying. Is that
me? Pick me.
No.
No.
For those that couldn't see, I raised my hand.
But
for those of you who can't hear, he said me.
Why are you listening to a podcast if you can't hear? I don't understand.
Maybe they can distinguish words through vibrations.
Thackeray understands jokes.
Which makes me wonder if vibrators speak to them in Morse code. No? Oh, man, that should be our new intro theme.
Nope.
Nope. We could just set a vibrator down on the table and
oh, fuck. I can hear it in my skull already.
I said we put it on the table, not in your mouth. But we could do that, too. It could just rattle against your teeth. No?
Move your face really close to the mic like you've been doing every so often.
I'm just going to keep sitting here and feeding you these terrible thoughts and ideas until we come back to the middle of me being the dictator of a utopian future, and that feels a little more safe than what we're talking about now.
No, none of it feels safe. It's just like programming, just like negative responses in my mind.
If you want to get people to drink your Kool-Aid, add plenty of sugar.
And cyanide. Arsenic. What did that guy use?
Arsenic, I think.
Arsenic. Okay. But yeah, I don't really know where we were going.
It doesn't matter where we were going. All that matters is that we get there.
We won't. Telling you right now.
I don't know. I think it'd be better if everybody, and this is just one person's opinion, obviously.
Open up your safe space, you guys. Let others in.
Yeah, just accept everybody as somebody else. Everybody is just you over there. So, and this is something that gets repeated by a lot of people who generally don't do this, but treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just remember that Jesus guy. He had some decent ideas.
You say that often.
Who do? I do?
I don't know. You being Christian,
That's not me.
it's more of like a
The royal you.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
quotations and you.
The audience, the listening audience, or
You.
people in general, humanity. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Dana Carvey, we get it.
So interestingly enough, I've been reading a lot of things for the past couple of years about, geneticists have been, slowly finding genetic markers for different illnesses and
Yeah.
and traits in people that can actually lead to further ailments or be passed on hereditarily and things like that. And I've read about them looking for and locating like genetic markers for homosexuality and things like that.
Yeah, that's a dangerous game.
And nobody really says anything about it.
No, people
But-
are talking about it. That's one of the big reasons why a lot of these studies can't go on in America,
I know. Where are these studies happening?
in Europe.
Switzerland.
America has very, very strict laws when it comes to experimentation, and especially when you start delving into
Not on children.
into finding different genes. Eugenics. You're
Yes.
crossing into eugenics by definition, and it's a dangerous game. I mean, you start trying to eliminate the quote unquote abnormal genetic defects.
Quote
and-
unquote abnormal defects.
Thank you.
I don't.
God damn it.
And
Working
it's
on
a
my
slippery
voices.
slope.
So we're
How
doing,
slippery?
We're doing a lot of great things with this, but it is a slippery slope. And on one hand, we look at it and say we could prevent illnesses, we can eliminate
Sure.
things that
It's one of those things that
affect us,
has the
and
potential for a lot of good, but it also has the potential to create the Aryan race.
This is nothing good is going to come from this. We can extend the human lifespan,
Yeah, that's
through medical science, which
not
is
good.
not going to be good in the long term.
That's what I was. That's the first thing that I went to is that extending human lifespan. I think is going to stunt our growth as people.
That's where I
because
always
life
go-
and death is a cycle. Like that's
That's where I always go in my mind and out loud, but in my heart of hearts.
which is also his mind.
your cholesterol filled heart.
if you look at the things that they're actually studying, and you look at the
Goat
potential
penises.
goat penises, which is
To
also
name a few.
which are also in my heart and in my mind.
I don't know how they got so far up there.
His nose.
Yeah.
It's a good starting point, I think.
A ram fucked his nose.
Just plow right through the blood-brain barrier.
How dare you?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I like it. Do more of that.
No.
But it really does make me
I'm
wonder.
sorry for that, everybody.
We're not.
We've talked about it before. I always want to bring it up because I like talking about it. Whether we're going towards X dystopian future or Y dystopian future or Z dystopian future.
I
Don't
personally
forget
like.
utopian future.
And it wasn't done. Or another branch off of the tree, which is but one little limb with no leaves on it. And that would be the utopian future because there's really not much growth in that direction.
No.
I think a utopian future in and of itself is dystopian. I don't think there is a. I don't
Because
think.
it promotes stagnation.
Well,
and
if you
thus-
watch movies or read sci-fi stories,
Every
you
u-
realize that, yeah, it's a fine line between...
That behind the curtain kind of Wizard of Oz thing, where it's
Exactly.
like,
because it can't be utopian by definition because it can't be perfect for everybody
Right.
unless everyone thinks and feels the same way, which can only be achieved through
eugenics.
one of my favorite subjects
And control.
and control. Yes,
Ultimate
which,
control.
which brings us kind of full circle on the whole
Ultimate
conversation.
control.
Yeah.
That it's not just mental or social in terms of the control aspect or the manipulation, but it's very much becoming physical, and people really aren't aware of it. But
Which is why, if you think that we're trying to oppress or suppress your ideas, we're not. I think the whole point of this is that trying to promote new ideas and acceptance of new ideas.
Yeah.
Or the same ideas, just different ideas.
Yeah.
Different ideas are good.
different ways of looking at the same ideas even is enough.
Yes.
Diversity of ideas is always going to be a bad thing. Even when you do have negative ideas or potentially harmful ideas, the benefit of those is that you have, or it gives you some kind of a moral compass of what to look at.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not telling you to control people or to eliminate people or to change people genetically. We're not
important
telling
thing
you
is
you
trying to
can't
find a
have
way
these
to-
thoughts.
No, the important thing is trying to understand where it comes from and kind of,
Just do it responsibly.
yeah, just like drinking.
Yeah.
Nah. I don't agree with that one.
I feel
But that's why we're here.
I feel like it's almost impossible to do anything responsibly because nearly everything you can do has a negative impact on your life in some regard.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing is ever 100% good for you. There are always drawbacks to everything.
Kind of that lesson about moderation.
I mean,
Man,
that's life.
Yeah, kind of.
sounds a lot like life.
We learned a lot here tonight.
Didn't we? And we still have more time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. We didn't learn that much yet.
Would we count Brazil as a dystopian society?
Uh,
Or the setting in which the movie Brazil takes place in, not to say Brazil the country, which, yes, but Brazil the movie is the one that I...
you're referring to Brazil by Terry Gilliam.
Yes.
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 I'm going to tell you something right now.
12 Monkeys.
Never seen it.
Spoiler for a podcast we haven't recorded.
It's on my list.
What about the Boys of Brazil? Can we talk about that?
Ooh, that is a really interesting topic.
I know, this is one I really love talking about.
How, or the idea of...
Anybody want to know what I've seen?
What?
Attack ships on fire off the coast of Orion.
Damn it. No, we're going to talk about the Boys of Brazil. We've got time.
Who are they?
The Boys of Brazil is a fictional story
No, it's
about the Nazis, including Hitler, having escaped to South America, Brazil, Argentina,
think it's off the
and
coast of Orion,
cloning
but I got close
experiments to basically clone Hitler and Nazi SS officers.
Okay,
if you've
so-
ever seen the season of Archer Vice, they touch on that a little bit with Krieger's subplot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did. On
yeah,
that,
they
didn't
do.
Yeah.
Or X-Men Origin, or no,
No, it was First Class.
X-Men First Class with the beginning of the Magneto subplot.
Yeah.
They touch on the idea of, or it's a pretty popular idea, and there's a lot of credence to it. Not the Hitler part; he's definitely dead.
I mean, at this point,
That's
he
the
would
part
be
I was
dead
hung up
because
on.
he was born in the 1800s. But
I don't think that they would have succeeded on any kind of cloning. Cloning takes
Why
a lot of
would
fucking
you
work.
clone Hitler?
because I don't know if you know this about the Nazis,
They loved them some Hitler.
they were all about some Hitler. They
Yeah.
wanted at least 4 more Hitler.
The whole issue with cloning is that if you can't transplant those exact ideas and
They felt the same way about Hitler as Meghan Trainor feels about that base.
oh,
Yeah.
it's all about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, just imagine how they felt about Hitler.
Just no trouble.
So you think of, the thing about it is you can't transport those ideas by cloning or breeding or anything, but you can indoctrinate those ideas.
Yes, but they're not the same. It's not. He hasn't had the experiences, so it will never be that Hitler.
It doesn't
and that
matter
Hitler
if
will
they,
always
if they
think.
view him as the perfect leader.
Yeah.
Then all you have to do is clone the perfect person and then teach
Just
everything
like-
about him to those people, brainwash them with those ideals.
Curiosity, I think, will
Just
always.
like Ludovico him into reading Mein Kampf every day forever.
Which is not. It's a bit of a tough read for anyone out there who hasn't read it.
That'll never work. Because why would he read a book that he's written?
But he
It's not.
specifically did not. A form of him has.
Yeah.
But he's not like that. That I don't think that ever it would never work. It's a rotating.
Look,
I
that's
would have
not
never
the,
thought that Christianity would have made it past the first few years, but it's been going strong for about 2000 now.
So is the Earth.
2017-ish.
The Earth in its indoctrination was far beyond me. That was a long time ago. But the point is they had an escape route, which is the really intriguing thing. Why I've always latched onto this.
Argentina is where they're at, supposedly.
Supposedly, maybe southern Chile.
They say a lot
Patagonia.
more. Argent. Yeah, it's
Argentina is the most. My grandmother, since I was a little kid, long before any exposure to all the mass media you can consume nowadays, ever since I was a little kid, my grandmother was convinced that Hitler and the SS officers all escaped. Hitler was not killed in a bunker in Berlin. They all escaped and went to Argentina. So she didn't just pick that up. Like, that's probably something she brought with her from Germany.
I feel like there would be more evidence.
yeah.
of
Like
his
this
death,
is
if there was.
This is a Richard Gere gerbil kind of thing. This predates the internet.
Yeah, this predates the internet. But the interesting thing about that is my grandmother's father was in the SS, so...
You have the internet. There's no reason for you,
don't
to
know
not
about
get
that?
that reference.
We
don't
can do
get
a
that
whole
reference?
episode about Richard Gere on the gerbil.
We know what the next episode is.
But think about that. Like, my grandmother had this idea, and her father was in the SS.
I'll tell you
So
when you're
it's
older.
it's not so far-fetched to think that they could have
And
at least
her father's
attempted it.
father was a milkmaid.
God damn it.
And her father's father's
So, yeah.
father was a cow.
It does make sense, or I'm all for the idea that some of the Nazis would have escaped Europe and gone to South America
Especially since some of them did.
to avoid extradition. I mean that makes sense in that there's records
They could have
of it
escaped
happening.
Germany and gone.
I don't really buy. I'm first off really not big on conspiracy theories. In any
You're talking
real
to the
way.
wrong two
Well,
people.
genetics have come so far that you think they would have been able to positively identify through DNA and whatnot that the remains that were found in that bunker were in fact Adolf Hitler, but they haven't done that.
It turns out if you burn the shit out of something,
It's a good way to cover up stuff.
yeah, it is. So I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely like there.
Nicolas Cage will find it out.
It's not the most.
It's Hitler's remains are hidden underneath the Declaration of Independence.
National Treasure 2 and a half.
It's not the most
Hitler's
far-fetched conspiracy theory on Earth.
What is?
Moon landing.
That was quick.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that one tucked away.
Yeah, I think about this a lot.
Pocket sand.
We need to do an entire episode just about conspiracy theories.
We can.
I would love the fuck. We can do a whole podcast where every episode is about the conspiracy theories.
We're going to start with the 2016 Green Bay Packers.
Crossover episode. Since there's nothing to talk about during the week of the Pro Bowl.
Way to shoot all of our credibility out of a cannon and onto the moon that hasn't been landed on.
Hey, there is not a single person alive in this world that has been on the moon.
Really? Did the last person just pass away? I think that's what
Yep.
I just... Okay, that doesn't make sense.
So, put that in your pipe and smoke
I think
it.
I've killed Brian twice in an hour.
I had to mute my mic.
It was good. Very good. I like it.
That's great. I'm sure on our mic it just sounded like you were whimpering.
I hope so. Little column A, little column B.
Even if Hitler didn't escape, it's possible that high-ranking officers did.
Yeah.
And, I mean, well, you've seen Helsing Ultimate, so...
Yes.
Who's to say
It's
that-
always the Nazis.
Gentlemen,
the Nazis?
So, I mean, I'm a firm believer. And, you know, they've shown projections of what Americans will look like 50 or 60 years from now through, like, you know, the melting pot effect.
Amalgamations.
And all of these people in America are going to look oddly like people in Brazil. And, you know, people in Brazil would have been much darker unless they had a much whiter influence in recent history.
I mean,
That'd have to be huge, though. You know how big Brazil is?
uh,
A lot of Brazilians are white.
yeah.
This is obviously a very, very long, you know, it would take so much to connect A to B on that, to
Yeah,
be
that-
logical.
That
But
falls flat
yeah.
really quickly.
That's more of just a, here's an example kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
if you want a bad example, I
if you
guess.
want a good example, it's just the fact that Gisele Bündchen is Brazilian. There you go. That's a very, very Portuguese-sounding name, right, guys?
You know apartheid happened in Africa, right? You know... God damn it.
Yeah?
White nationalism.
I'm just saying that there is a very, very, very large German population in the southern half of South America.
Yeah, I mean,
It would be very easy for people to blend in and start new lives.
Who's to say that they just didn't go to America? That's this whole port. Is that like
Well, some
I
of
really
them did.
believe that like a lot of them would have
We
just
know
gone
for a
to
fact
America.
that it's been proven that some of the high-ranking SS officers actually fled to America.
like
yeah, I mean, they get caught all the time.
Oh,
well, not like all
we-
the time.
we
but
catch
they've caught
them
some
from
in recent history.
Yeah.
do we catch them or do we just like let them?
Yeah,
in?
we've
because I feel
actually
like,
prosecuted them.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
recently.
Very old man thrown in prison.
you know, it's
How
really
long is it,
fucked up.
80 something?
Yeah, he was 90s.
You know, we
90s.
prosecute the these SS soldiers or these Germans that fled and were part of this regime as war criminals when a lot of the same stuff that they were doing, Nope. I was going to say death camps. We didn't have death camps. We had internment camps.
Yeah.
America's done a lot of the same shit, and nobody says anything.
I mean,
We're not prosecutors as war criminals.
We still do
ever.
imprison quote unquote foreign nationals and foreign combatants
without any sort of due process
or anything like that. So
we do have internment camps still.
Yeah, we do.
And nobody says
they're not in America because that'd be too
illegal.
Easy. Yeah. So I mean,
loopholes. I love them.
So yeah, that's something to chew on, and that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Welcome to Conspiracy Theorist Hour.